It is far better to become something than to remain anything but become nothing. This is despite all the genuine limitations and disappointments that becoming something entails. Everywhere the cynic despairs are bad decisions, but someone who has transcended that cynicism, or more accurately, replaced it with an even more profound doubt, that is, the doubt that doubt itself is an ultimately reliable guide, objects. The worst decision of all is none.
And you think that you're heading, towards your star. And so you go in that direction. And then, because you're here, the world looks a particular way, but then when you move here, the world looks different, and you're different as a consequence of having made that voyage. And so what that means is that now that thing that glimmers in front of you is going to have shifted its location, because you weren't very good at specifying it to begin with, and now that you're a little sharper and more focused than you were, it's going to reveal itself with more accuracy to you. And so then you have to take it's almost like a 180-degree reversal. But it isn't, because, you've gone this far, and that's a long ways to get that far. But that's a lot farther than you would be if you just stayed where you were, waiting. And so it doesn't matter that you overshoot continually, because as you overshoot, even if you don't learn what you should have done, you're going to continually learn what you shouldn't keep doing.
When you miss the mark, when you fail, it doesn't matter. Because as you overshoot, you're going to continue to learn what you shouldn't do. And chances are you'll probably learn a lot about what you should do in the process too.
And if you learn enough about what you shouldn't keep doing, then that's tantamount at some point to learning at the same time what you should be doing. So it's okay. So it's like this. Now, what's cool about it, though, I think, is that as you progress, the degree of overshooting starts to decline, right? And that we know that there's nothing hypothetical about that. As you learn a new skill, like even to play a song on the piano, for example, you overshoot madly. You're making all sorts of mistakes to begin with, and then the mistakes, they disappear. It's okay to wander around stupidly before you fix your destination.
So it's interesting how this works. Failing is mandatory. That's why the average millionaire goes bankrupt 3.5 times in the process of gaining the riches. They're playing a big game with big consequences. And whether you're working with $10,000 or $10 million, you're destined to experience defeat, and continual defeat at that, until you build your foundation of understanding that'll keep the castle of your business or career or life standing and strong. And even then, once you've made it, you'll continue to fail. It just won't be as devastating because you'll have a much higher pain tolerance.
The fact that you're full of faults doesn't mean you have to stop. And thank God for that. That's a really useful thing. And the fact that you're full of faults doesn't mean that you can't learn. And so you can posit an ideal, and you're going to be wrong about it, but it doesn't matter, because what you're right about is positing the ideal and moving towards it. If the actual ideal isn't conceptualized perfectly, well, first, surprise, surprise, because like, what are you going to do that's perfect? So it doesn't matter that it's imperfect. It just matters that you do it and that you move forward. So that's really positive news as far as I'm concerned, because you can actually do that, right? You can do it badly. Anyone can do that. So that's useful. Okay, so like if you were an efficient person, you would have just done that. But you're not. But who cares? You still end up in the same place. And maybe the trip is even more interesting. Who knows? Probably too interesting.